How does your style come about?
Yeah, when I first got into comics, I actually drew very traditional comic book style. Like my first gigs I got hired were like Pinup Girl was just like very comic book style sequentials, but my layouts were actually done in a like cutesy mini style. And it wasn't until someone saw those layouts, they're like, "Why don't you draw like that?" I'm like, "I don't think I can make a career drawing like that." But I had a very unique talent since I was really young, and that was I was really good at picking up styles and mimicking them, which back then, because everyone in the industry is like, you have to have a style, you have to have a style. And I'm like, but my style is kind of all over the place. I could draw just about anything. As long as it falls within a cartoony realm, I could adapt my style to it. So I was kind of like, I felt like I was not doing comics right because everyone just had one style and they really focused on that. Where here I am, I have my cutesy style, which is really developed from all the amazing properties I work on. But one thing that my name got out there is that you could drop me on almost any title as long as it's cartoon focused, whether it's in my style or already an established one, and I can adapt really fast. So that's why I have worked on Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack, Teen Titans Go, Care Bears, My Little Pony, is because editors went, "Hey, can you draw like this?" And I'm like, "Give me like 24 hours." And it was just once my brain picked up the pattern of what it looks like, and
Yeah.
then once I had that pattern, I could replicate it. So it's really funny because even though my career is not based on just one style like almost everyone else's, I was still able to make a career just being a little bit of a chameleon with my own style. So yeah, you know what? I had so much imposter syndrome with that too, because I'm like, I don't know if I have a style, but here I am 20 years later, just drawing everything and anything.
I wonder how much you've contributed to that style and kind of the rise of, I think a lot of factors have probably contributed to the rise of a clean style and an all ages style. I'm not even sure the right word to describe that style, but I don't think it was around much, like say in the 90s. Like when Jeff Smith was doing Bone, that book really stood out because almost nothing looked like that. Like sometimes
Yeah.
I know retailers who will say we lost a generation of readers because we weren't doing all ages, we weren't doing really animation. There was a lot that we didn't do for a decade as an industry. And it's pretty bold, for you to develop that style. And now I feel like you're probably positioned very well. I mean, this is a style that I think is maybe more popular than when we say, traditional Marvel and DC house style. That feels like that's the shrinking mainstream. And this is actually the real mainstream.
Yeah, maybe. I really, you know what it is too? Kids' books are so undervalued because they're never promoted right in the comic book realm. When we look at book publishers in middle grade and YA, they're booming. They're going crazy. Look at manga. The thing about comics is I don't think they know how to advertise comic book properties. And I think as more and more kids are gimmicks, I think now the all ages are even getting bigger. It's just sometimes I think companies and comics just need to figure out how to promote it properly because there is a market for it and it's a growing market. And more kids are getting into reading. Like look at Dogman, for example. That's like insanely popular. And I think it should be because these are comics that are written. I think middle grade comics are some of the smartest comics because they're written on two levels. They're written on a level for the kids to understand, and they're written on a level for parents to still enjoy with their kids. I think that is such smart storytelling when you're able to do that because you're really thinking about a wider reading market because the parents, you want them to want to buy it for their kids and you want the kids reading it. And I think stories that don't play dumb like really are still smart stories for kids to understand but they don't make kid belittle kids, I think are some of the greatest stories told. And that's where I'm really grateful that I've worked on so many amazing properties because they're really funny smart stories, and not only are the kids going to enjoy, the parents are as well, and I think that's just fantastic.
Yeah, I agree with you. DJ and I were recently in New York. We were traveling together. So when we go to the airport, it's like, let's look in the bookstore. I always want to find comics everywhere that we go, wherever I go. And so we're in the airport looking in the bookstore, and it was exactly what you've described. There was like a little bit of Marvel DC, there was a bunch of manga, and there might have been three like shelves of like YA, like all ages to YA. I know those are different, but they sort of are shelved next to each other. And it was amazing, the variety style wise and the number of books, graphic novels that were on display in an airport bookstore. You know, it's so different than even 20 years ago. That just was not the case. And now I think some of the most diverse and interesting artwork being done is being done in that, you know, aimed at that demographic that you're describing, that middle school young adult demographic. There are all kinds of graphic novels and comics being produced for that age group now, and it's remarkable to see. It has not taken long for that group to just kind of explode.